So in embarrassing fashion, the Boston Celtics have just defeated the Brooklyn Nets in an embarrassing 4-0 sweep. This is crazy considering Boston was underdogs in this series. Not only did they beat the Nets, they swept them. Them winning this series has led me to bring up the question and just the discussion in general of why this year is the Boston Celtics' best chance to win the NBA championship. So in today's video, I'll be discussing that as well as their chances to win the ring and predicting how far they will go. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to goal of 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. The first reason I think the Celtics really need to win the championship this year has to be because for the first time in a really long time, this team is fully healthy. Ever since Jason Tatum's rookie year, the Celtics have always been a team that has dealt with a lot of injuries, which really held them back in the playoffs because they had enough talent to make a really deep playoff run, but they were held back by injuries. And especially a lot of their talent got injured at the wrong time in the playoffs. In Jason Tatum's rookie season, Kyrie got injured and missed the whole playoffs, which held them back from going as far as they would have wanted to, which was the finals. They probably would have got swept by the Warriors, but I think they would have beat LeBron's Cavs if Kyrie had played. Then in the 2019 season, they struggled with injuries during the whole 2019 season, which led to them having no chemistry and led to them losing embarrassingly to the Milwaukee Bucks. Then in the 2020 season, Kemba Walker was dealing with injuries and they lost the Heat in the conference finals, but they could have went to the NBA finals if they were truly healthy. And if you remember, like, Gordon Hayward missed most of that series too. And then last year in the 2021 NBA playoffs, Jaylen Brown was injured, which held them back from even getting out the first round. And we just saw that when Jaylen Brown was healthy, the Celtics team was capable of beating the Brooklyn Nets. Not saying they would have beat the Brooklyn Nets of last year with James Harden, but they would have made the series more interesting. But this season, everyone is fully healthy. They even got Robert Williams back, and he's been playing pretty solid since his injury. He's not the Robert Williams we saw in the regular season, but it's clear that he's going to be able to get back to that level hopefully in the next few games. Tatum is fully healthy, Smart is fully healthy, Brown is fully healthy. Even guys like Horford and Grant Williams, who are important for this team, are fully healthy. Literally everyone is healthy. There's no excuses for this team, and obviously you just have to feel bad for the Celtics at times because 3 out of the 4 last years they dealt with major injuries in the playoffs. The Celtics mainly have been really disappointing over the last few years because of injuries, and I think they have to take advantage of that this season because we never know when injuries will strike. The next reason the Celtics have their best chance to win the championship is because the Eastern Conference is kind of wide open. When I say it's wide open, I don't mean that it's going to be a cakewalk to make a finals. If you wanted a cakewalk to make the finals, you'd have to look at the Milwaukee Bucks of last year. I'm joking, but it's not that easy this year. There are plenty of teams that can very well win the championship in the Eastern Conference. Probably the most amount of contending teams in the East for since a really long time. But what I mean is there's no crazy dominant team in the Eastern Conference right now that you're certain is capable of beating the Celtics in a series. Boston is definitely capable of beating all of those teams, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really view Boston too highly before the playoffs started. But now that I know how good they are on defense and how they're able to shut down superstars, I generally believe this is a team that can go all the way to the finals. And as I said, the Eastern Conference always had LeBron in the Eastern Conference. We always knew LeBron was going to be the guy who came out the East. So he was the juggernaut who teams had to face. Then in 2019 when LeBron left, we had those Raptors squad. We have 76ers with Jimmy Butler. We had the Bucks. And now this season, if we're being honest, the only real contender in the East outside of Boston is the Bucks, 76ers, and the Heat. And I think the Celtics are capable of beating all of those teams. There's no juggernaut or there's no unbeatable team in the Eastern Conference right now, and the Celtics have to use that to their advantage because next year I don't know if it's going to be like that. So right now, the Eastern Conference is anyone to take, and I feel like Boston has to take advantage of it, and I think there's a chance they'll be able to do so. But to give a prediction on how I think the rest of Boston's playoff run will work out, it's pretty obvious the Celtics are going to face the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round, because at the making of this video, the Bucks are up 3-1 against the Bulls, and their next game is at home. Milwaukee's definitely going to win that. And against the Bucks, if Chris Middleton was healthy, I was not going to bet on the Celtics to win. But even if Chris Middleton was healthy, then the Celtics would actually still have a chance. But since it's not looking like Chris Middleton is going to play at all in the series, I do think the Celtics will win the series in 6 games, maybe even 5, because their defense is some of the best I've seen since the 2019 Raptors. Not saying their defense is better than the 2019 Raptors, but it's some of the best defense I've seen in a while. And we have seen Milwaukee in the past, talking about the role players by the way, they just always fold under pressure. They don't come up, they don't play good, they don't step up. And when Milwaukee's role players are not stepping up at all, that makes it so easy for the defense to just pressure Giannis and make him have those series that make him look like a guy who shouldn't even be in the top 5 players in the NBA. And when you realize on top of that, they're not even going to have Chris Middleton, who's probably not going to play the whole series, that just is really scary for the Bucks, because that means Drew Holiday's really going to have to step up, and we already know how inconsistent he was last year in the playoffs. They have no consistent or even good shot creator now outside of Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday's not even a shot creator like that. He's capable of doing it, but he's not someone you look to like how you used to look on for Middleton. And straight up, just having both of those guys would obviously make you way better. But if Middleton was fully healthy, I think the Bucks would win in 6 or 7 games. But with no Middleton, I think the Celtics win the series in 6 games. Then you have to talk about in the conference finals, they're probably going to face the Heat or the 76ers. We have to realize that the 76ers still might lose to the Toronto Raptors at the making of this video, because they lost 2 games in a row. But regardless, if I'm being realistic, I think the Miami Heat and 76ers will be in the second round. And to be honest, I think Miami will beat the 76ers because their coaching advantage is just absolutely huge. James Harden has been terrible in the playoffs, and at the same time, I think Miami's just a better overall roster. But regardless of who they verse, I do think Boston is capable of beating Miami or the 76ers, period. I feel like they can throw a lot of double teams at James Harden and throw double teams at Joel Embiid. But I don't think Joel Embiid is going to struggle in this series, because Horford at this point in his age and career isn't that great of a defender. And I know he's a great defender, but I don't think he can lock him up how he used to do back in the day. Don't get me wrong, Al Horford's a great defender. But in a series versus the Heat, that would just be 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. And I think it will come down to who can hit the most difficult shots. And I think the Celtics are more equipped to hit the more difficult shots. But that would be a series that I think goes to 7. I think Boston would win. And if they face the Sixers, I think Boston would win in 6 games. And if the Celtics were to make it to the finals, I think they would lose to whoever came out the Western Conference in 5 or 6 games, whether it's the Warriors or the Suns fully healthy. But if it's Memphis, then I think Boston would win. Maybe. But regardless, I think the Celtics are primed to make a deep playoff run this year. And if they don't make a deep playoff run this year, I think it's going to be really hard for them to do it in the next couple of years, because it doesn't really look like they can get much better than they are right now, which is really good. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Celtics can make the finals. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if we're not sure over 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video. I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.